Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today Eric and I are going to share on the 6 things that we wish we knew before getting married. So he's going to share some and I'll share some. So Eric, what is the first thing that you wish you knew before getting married?
So the first thing that I wish I knew before getting married was that love alone is never enough when it comes to marriage. What do I mean? It's going to be nearly 13 years this year, in December, that you and I are married. But one of the things that I have seen and realized that when I was single, I always thought, man, love, feelings, I love this person. I thought, it's supposed to be kept constant, love remains the same. It is only because of love that, I am connecting with Florence. But after I got married, my friend, I realized that there's something that's greater than even the feelings of love, which is really faith. A commitment, first of all, to God, and then as a result of that, I commit to you, even in times when the feelings of love are not there. That's one thing that I realized I wish I had learned, because sometimes I would get frustrated, and yet it's a reality that sometimes love can kind of go down and then come
feeling.
up. Yes. But faithfulness, commitment, which in a way required of me because of my faith in God, are things that have kept us going. Even when the feelings are not there, I still stay committed to you. I stay faithful to you. Yeah. So just that understanding of that love alone is never enough.
Because we are not always nice to each other.
No.
And definitely, once you're married, you see my good side and my bad side.
Yeah.
Of course, before marriage, you're seeing my good side. After marriage, you're seeing even the side that's not pretty. So I think that's why your faith in Christ, the fact that you're getting the values to commit to your husband or your wife, not from your relationship with Christ, and the fact that you're supposed to be one woman, one husband, one wife. And I think sometimes it's commitment that takes you through certain seasons.
You're right. Yeah.
And sometimes it's your faith in Christ, the fact that I can't stand before Christ.
Yeah, it is a constant, my faith in Christ.
Yeah.
Because that is meant to be consistent. While my feelings of love might be up today and down tomorrow, my commitment, my consistency in my faith with Christ remains the same. And
So you feel like that's the thing that anchors you.
Yes.
Through the storms of
Yes.
Marriage.
It is what gives me the reason to keep committing, to keep faithful, even when the feelings might not be there. That's what I meant. Yeah.
So it's important to actually grow that relationship before you get married with Christ.
Your faith in God is critical, married or single, because every other decision that you make, including the decision to love someone, genuinely love them, should be founded on the faith that you have in God. If that is not there, then I think you start off on a very shaky foundation.
And also in the world tells us
feelings can change.
Yeah. And the world tells us if you don't feel like he loves you, then move on.
Let them go.
If she has changed, she's not the shape you married, let them go. So Yeah, I think you're right. That our relationship with Christ kind of anchors us.
And for you, the one thing that you wished you knew?
Okay, so for me, my number one is I wish I knew before I got married that my husband is not a mind reader. Because you know when you're dating, like the guy puts in a lot of effort.
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like it's going to be automatic when you get married. So I remember when I had just gotten married, when I'd be frustrated with you. Sometimes not even with you, but you know how you expect something and it doesn't happen?
Yeah.
And you just feel disappointed. So I would keep quiet. And in my head, the truth is I thought you knew what was going on. Because when we are dating, I feel like you would figure out and say, Florence, what's up today? You're not talking that well. What's happening?
Yeah.
So I kind of expected that to happen. But when the rubber hits the road, I realized, man, I have to communicate. What is it that is bothering me?
Tell your need.
Yes. And also the movies that we watch kind of give us that kind of expectation, because
Yeah.
this Prince Charming has come, he's so understanding. When the wife is sad, he kind of figures everything out.
Yeah.
And the novels that we read, so for me, I came into marriage thinking, reading. And I would be frustrated, like, why isn't he saying something? Like, I'm so frustrated with him.
Yeah.
So I don't know when actually I learned that, but I think it could have been in the first or second year when I learned to communicate, to be able to speak up, and be able to tell you, Eric, this is what hurt me.
Yeah.
Or I feel frustrated when you do this, or and I feel like it helped. So the false expectation that your husband will figure it out. And I feel like men, when they try to figure it out and they can't figure it out, they give up.
Yeah, they get frustrated.
So you're seated in your corner, frustrated, and your husband is oblivious. Maybe he thinks, I thought you wanted to be quiet.
Yeah.
Or I thought you were not feeling well. You just,
You needed your time. Because it's very interesting for us as guys.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we have what we call a nothing box. Okay. So it's very easy to think that just like me, you can just sit there and
and not think about that.
yeah, and enjoy nothing.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So the other thing I wished I knew before I was married, when I was still a single man, was to practice family before I start family. That is important. I think as a single person, I thought it would be automatic, but there are certain things I've learned as a married person that they don't just come automatic. I don't automatically just, love my children, affirm my children, spend time with you. These are things that, I wish I had known before I was married, because, it has taken some hard work to do them. Why? Because before I was married, I had this assumption that, it's automatic, because you hear people
express your love.
Express love, stay with family, play with the kids. I didn't grow up with people playing with me as a child. And so there are certain things that I have had to learn, and sometimes they don't come so easy. Why? Because I did not have time to practice them before I was, married. I don't know what you have to say in that regard.
Yeah, it's so true that the way you are raised
affects how you do life with
yes.
others. Yes.
So it affects how you express love to your family.
Yes.
So what you lacked becomes very hard for you to maybe express or do
Yeah.
for your family. So sometimes it takes like deliberate efforts. Like you have to, for example, if you didn't hear "I love you,"
Yeah.
that means you're going to say it even when you don't feel it. It's going to feel fake for a long time.
Yeah.
Until when you grow into the habit, until when it feels normal, because you lacked it. So
Yeah.
the things that we lack while growing up, or the gaps in our families, kind of affect our marriages, even when we have children,
Yeah.
and maybe children are expecting that you're going to express affection
Yeah.
to them. Like one of our sons is, his love language clearly is touch.
Yes.
So if you lacked that, that means this child will crave for it and you can't give it to them. But if you need to do it, if you choose to do it, that means you have to. It's going to start, at the start it's going to feel weird.
Yeah.
Until when, as you practice it, it becomes a part
Yeah.
of you. So
I think to anyone that is single and not yet married, especially a man, I would advise you to practice family before you start family. This means, spend time with your family,
your siblings,
siblings,
your extended family.
Yeah, begin, tell them that you love them, play with them, be intentional about spending time with family.
With your family, yes.
Yeah, because it's very easy for us to just go away, watch a soccer game, or indulge in those things that are just for you, and thinking that when you start family, you're automatically just going to turn and start doing family life. It's not automatic. So please practice family.
Even
before you
if
start
you
family.
can't take care of your mother, for example.
Or your siblings.
Yes,
Yeah.
if you have a sister or a brother and they
Yeah.
don't even know that you love them, and they even question it,
Because you never say it.
and you never maybe show it.
Yes.
Through actions. Those are 5 love languages.
Yeah.
We think when you meet your spouse, I love her or I love him. Therefore, it's going to be automatic that I'm going to show this person
Yeah.
I love them. But when we have those deficiencies, which actually all of us do have,
Yeah.
You realize that certain things become hard, because you're going to, the natural thing is when you feel like I can't do this thing, is either bury yourself in work,
Yeah.
go visit friends, like just be away from home, because you don't know how to figure this thing out. So I think practicing spending time with your family and being intentional with your family so that they can know that they are loved through you saying it, and your actions prepares you for marriage.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I've learned, especially with practicing family, doing things in family, is when it comes to family, we do things not because we feel, but because out of a place of commitment.
Yes, that's so true.
Out of a place of commitment,
That's so true.
out of a place of genuinely being sold out to people, not because I feel, because feelings can come.
Even when your
feelings can
sister has
go.
annoyed you, that's your sister.
They're your sister.
Even when mommy has said something you don't like, that's your mom.
Yes.
So I think when you learn that, and it's the same thing, even in conflict, how are you going to treat them?
All of those things we can
Yes.
learn to genuinely do life with people, through family. So if we can practice family before we start our own families,
Because,
loving, sacrificing, staying, and all these little things that we do that mean a lot to
Forgiving.
others. Forgiving and being forgiven. And I think for me, those are very important things that I wished I knew before. Because while I didn't grow up with my parents, I had family. I had my sister, I had cousins, and it was critical that I practice these things with them. I think it could have made it easier for you people if I had practiced. Yes,
I think you practiced
if
some.
But not all.
Not all,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm still on a journey.
So the ones you
learning.
practiced will benefited a lot.
Exactly.
And the ones where you had not,
It's
you've
been
had
a
to
bit of a
work.
struggle. We are
Yes.
still working on certain things. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And you, Florence?
For me, the the second thing I wish I knew before getting married is that intimacy in marriage
Yeah.
is a journey. So, because I grew up in church, and I feel like because they drum so much that weight when you meet your spouse, maybe you can have all the sex you want, which is true. But I think no one tells us that, this thing is going to be a journey. So you come in with certain expectations for your husband, but also the husband has certain expectations
Yes.
of you, because as you figure it out, somehow you expect that it will be automatic, that the other person will figure you out, will know what you want,
Yeah.
what feels good for you, what you need at that time. But then you realize that it's actually a journey. What worked when we had just gotten married might not work at this stage.
Yeah.
What worked before you had children might not work. Like, because life is happening. You have children, you have all these other beautiful responsibilities to do. So I think that, but also that intimacy is going to be something you will have to, like, to put effort in, or
Yeah.
because sex is not, intimacy is not just sex.
No.
It's knowing each other. It's growing closer. Like, it's not going to be automatic. Because I thought that love, the feeling we had was enough. And I remember even during counseling, I'd be like, what is the worst that could happen, really? Because they ask you things and in your head, you're like, you answer them politely, but at some point you're like, but the way we love each other,
Yeah.
what is it that can come between us? But a lot can come between us. Those things that we are talking about,
Yeah.
somehow creep in, and then realize that the intimacy is being threatened. But the beautiful thing is, and maybe what I would tell a single person, or what I would even tell my single self if I went back to be single,
Yeah.
is like, give yourself grace. Communicate. We will need to communicate, but also it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so just give each other grace and give it time. With time, you're going to learn so
Yeah.
much. I don't know what you think about that.
I think with intimacy, it's you've said some of the most important things. It's not just physical connection; it's time with each other. I think I have heard of a person that said that when you talk about intimacy, it's about into me,
I see.
you see.
You see.
But if that is going to happen, it means we're going to
Open up.
spend time together, open up, and then off of that, as we spend time together, and we are open, honest conversations, then trust is built.
Intimacy grows.
Yes.
Because even after even when you conflict and you sort that conflict, I feel like you grow closer.
Yes.
Once
we connect more with every conflict that we sort. Yeah. And sometimes it feels like when conflicts come, you're feeling like, no, it's naturally we think it's we are divided. And maybe that's what the enemy usually wants with conflict. But I have seen that with every conflict that we intentionally work on, where we find time to talk, even when sometimes the talk is not easy, at the end of it, we are closer together. There's more trust and, again, more intimacy.
So as you get to know your spouse through the good times, but also the conflict and resolving the conflict and the communication, you kind of even know your spouse better.
Yeah.
The things they love, the things they don't Love it. Also, even when someone comes and tells you, so and so has said this, there are things you'll be like, no, that can't be. That's not my husband. Or
Because
that's
I
not
know
my,
them.
Yes. But then also you get to know. You can even know, couples when they stay together, sometimes they even finish like their sentences, each other's sentences.
Yeah.
Because you kind of know what the other person means or how they were going to end it. So that knowing is really, it's hard work and it's a lifetime. As each year goes by, as long as you don't stop working at your marriage, then it grows. So in the first year, it is still like a baby. It's growing with you, and yeah.
The other thing that I wished I knew when I was single or before I got married was that wounds don't just heal. And when I'm talking about wounds, I'm talking of emotional wounds. Why?
Childhood traumas.
All of those, life's hurts, bruises of the past and all of that, those things don't just heal. There is an assumption for so many of us, especially when we're single, that with all of these things that I've gone through, someone is going to come into my life and it's all going to be good. The things that hurt me, the people that hurt me are going to be in my past. But when I got married, I realized it is important to deal with the wounds, emotional wounds of my past. And I wish there are certain things I had worked on before I was married, in terms of finding healing, in terms of closure, in terms of, just dealing with these issues. Why? Because I realized that as a married person, these same emotional wounds I carried into my marriage. And I sort of continued to hurt. And unfortunately, while I was hurting you, but also sometimes hurting my children. Not physically abusive, but where sometimes maybe my responses, my way of dealing with conflict, my way of handling if I've made mistakes, all this anger coming up, all these sometimes emotional, what do you call it? If it's not an outburst, or sometimes you're shutting someone out. Why? Because it was a mechanism I took on as maybe a child or as a single person, not to be hurt.
To protect yourself.
And so I realized that it is very, very important that these wounds I deal with, because you do not have the power to heal me.
I don't.
My children can never heal me. So this feeling that, when I get married, then, this person is going to come in and they are going to be the healer to do the magic, it doesn't work. So I think if someone is single and their wounds, emotional wounds or, childhood traumas that, they experienced, and if they are still carrying wounds, it's important that they find healing. Otherwise, you come into marriage and you're going to hurt the people that you love.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah, I don't know if you have anything. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's not only you. Now, for me, I think we all have those defense mechanisms.
As a result of
the pain
yes.
and sometimes the disappointment that we go through. Because I think somehow, without saying it, I kind of had this really big expectation of you to feel like a father.
Yeah.
My father's gap in a way. Now, I didn't think about it, but you know how over the years you can process and say, why?
Yeah.
Why do I feel so hurt maybe when my husband doesn't do this, or when he disappoints me? Why is it that this thing is so important? And I
Yeah.
could trace them and realize that actually they are in my childhood.
Yes.
That because my parents passed on when I was little, that means you're going to have gaps. Maybe you just want attention from your husband and you don't get that attention, and hey, all hell
Yeah.
breaks loose. And I think for me, I'm not very, very expressive sometimes. I'm expressive, but I might concede it.
Yeah.
But I can tell deep inside that there's a lot of turmoil, happening. So I think it made certain things so important to me,
Yeah.
and maybe I attached value to certain things because of the childhood traumas.
Yeah.
And not only that I had to, but also I realized I had fears. I used to call me when you travel. My biggest fear was what if something happened to
Yeah.
him and he passed
doesn't
on.
come home.
And do you know the truth is I would sometimes cry alone because I'm imagining, what am I going to do with these children?
Yeah.
Or when we would have a conflict and I feel like, is this marriage going to survive?
Yeah.
For me, deep inside, the fear was, if this thing doesn't work out, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
If Eric chose to walk out, what am I going to do? And I think every time we'd have conflicts that maybe were prolonged or we're
Yeah.
not dealing with, they would hit that fear
Yeah.
of this thing might not work out. Florence, what are you going to do? So I think we did some work before getting married.
Yeah.
But healing is it's a process, and it's like an onion. So I think even as you do work, depending on how much you carried as a child or as a teenager, you need to continue the process of talking to a counselor.
Yeah.
Or opening out to people and saying, actually, I'm still hurting.
This happened to me.
Yes, and
I need help.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's still hurting. It still hurts.
Yes.
Because I feel like even when you're single, there are things you can do, but then sometimes you feel because you're not staying with anyone, it's you and your saucepans and yourself, really, and the people who might come to visit you, but they are going to go. No one is stepping on those wounds properly.
Yeah.
Once you're married, those wounds come.
Marriage is interesting. Marriage reveals. It reveals you before it heals you. I think the beauty with marriage is because God is the author, there is an opportunity for us to be healed if we'll allow God to do it. But one of the things that I have discovered with marriage is these wounds have a way of coming to the surface, and so God has a way of just letting stuff come to the surface, not really to shame you or to make you look like you're the worst person in the world. His purpose is to bring healing, but he will cause things to come to the surface through, the way we do life in marriage. And what I would advise anyone that is single, not married, is to open yourself up to people that are willing to walk a journey with you in terms of helping you to find healing. Don't cover up. Let stuff come out. Because if you get into your marriage wounded, even when you have all these intentions to be good and loving, you'll unfortunately hurt the people that you love.
Yeah. But also there's no shame in talking to a counselor.
No, there's no shame.
Or a therapist. As long as, if you're a Christian like me, as long as their worldview, then they can help you. How do I say? Because there are people who will give you sometimes things to do that, maybe a new age things, So, but check them out. There's no shame because counseling is supposed to help us
Yeah.
And you can't put that burden on your spouse to help heal you. Your spouse will contribute, but they are already carrying their own luggage also. Yeah, so, wow, that's a good one.
So any other thing you wished you knew?
Yes. I wish I knew that I can't change my husband. You can't change your spouse, and the only
Yeah.
person I can change is me. So,
Are you sure you can change yourself?
well, the one you can work on.
That's, yes,
Yes.
you're right.
That it's you. You can only help yourself or find help, but sometimes your spouse is not even there yet.
Yeah.
They even haven't realized that they actually have things they need to work on.
Yeah.
So I think what I would tell a single person is be careful. Be careful of the kind of husband you choose or wife. So whoever you choose, you've decided that you're going to see the good and the bad, and you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Especially for us as women, that's going to be your head. So you can't have the mindset that I'm going to change this person.
So the best you can do for your spouse, Florence, if I'm hearing you, is pray for them to be changed. But you can't
Actually, love
change
them. Love them the way they are. That's the best you can do.
But sometimes we have a desire that someone changes. Because yes, there are those things that you feel like,
You know-
God, this one. And I think the best you can do, honestly, is to pray to God, because it's God that changes us. This is what is very interesting. Even when I would like to change, sometimes I don't have what it takes. I can do some
Yeah, me
work, but I
too.
can't change me. God can change me. And I think that's the place from where I'm saying, maybe the best thing you can do for this person that you're married to is to commit them to the Lord, for God to effect the change. Even as you pray for God to change you, even as I am praying for God to change me. Because it's very easy for me to desire to see certain changes in you and selfishly not want me to change. You get it? So when you say, you can't change your husband.
No, you can't even change your wife.
Yeah.
Even when you're the head,
Yes.
you can't. Like, an adult is an adult. The best thing you can do is love them, yes, pray for them,
Yeah.
and believe the best. And now...
But do you think change can happen? Because when you say that, it sounds like, man.
No.
You've
what
made the bed.
Yes, to a certain
lay in the
extent.
bed. Are you sure?
To a certain extent, Eric.
Change
you've
can
made
come.
No, yes, it can come.
Yeah.
But before it comes,
Yes.
you've made your bed.
Uh-huh.
Whether there are bed bugs there or what, you won't sleep in it. But you see, the thing is, it's not a one-sided thing.
No, it's not.
It means that there are things that you've had to put up with.
Yeah.
Because I am not there.
Yet.
Maybe sometimes I've not even realized that I even need to change. Like, I'm comfortable.
Yes.
And vice versa. Okay? So, I'm saying that for... because when you're single, you're just looking at love. This person has said they want to marry me. I tell girls, when they say, I want to marry you, it's like, you melt. You're like, Manak, that guy has said. So even if people are telling you, like, can't you see this? And they're like, Anjagala. So, to a certain extent, you've made your bed and you're going to have to sleep in it.
Yeah.
However long it takes for that person to be transformed. And it's both ways, for the guys and also for the ladies. So the quality Now, every person has good qualities and bad qualities. But
Yeah.
for you, what are those things that you can handle and what are those things that you can't handle? Because when you ignore them, you cannot change them once you're married.
Yeah.
Ogenda kusaba, you're going to pray.
Yeah.
Now, I think all of us to a certain extent, era tuba tulina okusaba.
No, we pray.
Yes.
Let's not look at prayer as something that does not work. Prayer does work, but there are certain things that we need to be aware of. That we cannot change people,
Yeah.
and we need to be aware before we come into a relationship with a person. Am I willing to walk down this road with this kind of person? Because what is very interesting is sometimes what you see is simply the starter. Because remember I told you, yes.
Yes,
You know, remember
that's
I told
why
you,
I'm laughing.
marriage is revealing. There are certain things that I got to know about you after we're married.
That's
But there were certain, yes. So there were others that were kind of a glimpse, and I made up my mind to do life with you based on those glimpses. But I think for me, knowing that you had faith, we had a common faith, for me that was important.
Yeah.
But there were
Yes.
other things that only came out later, because marriage reveals.
Doing life together reveals all
Yes,
those things.
it
Yes.
does.
Yeah, but for me, I'm talking to the single person. You know, careful, careful. Like, consider all those things and
Yeah.
ask yourself, are you willing to do life with this person?
Yeah.
If there are things you have seen that maybe you're not sure about, do a background check.
Yeah.
You know, are these things real or is it just my head?
Yes.
You know, because for us as women, once you get married, my friend, you will have to submit to that man as the head of your home. Because that's now your husband. That's why I'm saying I would tell the single person to look at all those details and do a background check and ask other people's opinion. Now, regardless of who you get married to, there are things you'll have to deal with. But we all don't deal with the same things,
Yeah.
you know. And some marriages have thrived, others have broken. And sometimes it's also because we feel like as men and women, we feel like, no, they will change.
Yeah.
Of which it's not within your control to change them. You don't have that power.
I think for me, the one thing that I would say is none of us has power to change anyone, but God does.
Yeah.
And so prayer is critical. Pray for yourself as a single person, pray for yourself as a married person. And I'm saying pray for yourself because, like you mentioned, the real person that you have some kind of a certain level of quote unquote control is you. Even when you can not even change yourself, it takes God to turn a man, a woman's heart around and change them. So I think for me that's important, that we are aware of that. We can't change people. And we can only allow God to change us so that then we can live with people, even with their shortcomings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. But you know, there are things you can ignore, and by the time God changes the person, you are bruised.
And God will heal you.
Like, you're so full of, you know, like how they say that some people can never get it until when they first hit themselves, you know. But and they will finally realize, that was a real wall. But some people, by just telling them, don't walk through there.
Yeah.
There's actually a wall. You're going to hurt yourself. They will get it. So I think that's what I would say to the single person. Yeah.
So for me, there are some of the things that I wished I had known, you know, before I got married, when I was single. And I think it's been a good discussion. There are so many other things, but this is all that we have time for today.
Thank you, Eric, for the discussion.
You're welcome.
I've enjoyed the discussion, and just in the comment section, do let us know, do you agree? Or do you have other things, if you're married, that you wish you knew before getting married? Or maybe you're single and you're saying, well, I have learned this one, particular thing today. So thank you so much for watching. See you in another conversation.